Hey guys, this is Typhorce Reacts, and I'm back to do a death battle prediction video. This one on the death battle between Zuko and Shoto Todoroki. Now, this one I didn't think they'd actually do, but at the same time kind of figured they would do. Sorry. But it's simply because, for one thing, the more you think about it, the more one-sided it seems. And so that was pretty much the reason I didn't think they'd do it, but then I remembered, oh wait, fan requests. Because this one has been suggested a lot. Zuko versus Todoroki has been suggested a lot. Simply because, you know, just how similar they are. They both have abusive dads, though at least one is trying to do better. I'm talking about Endeavor. And, they both use fire. They both got a scar on one side of their face. And so, yeah. And by the way, I'm doing this prediction solely off memory. I have no notes or anything to you know, help me out here, so I'm just gonna, yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think Zuko is going to win, and the more I think about it, the more one-sided it seems. So, yeah, yeah, so on paper, it looks like Todoroki easily has an advantage. I mean, not only can he manipulate fire, he can manipulate ice. You know, he can produce both of them at least, and, you know, just, you know, and use them to attack, or really any kind of number of things, honestly. And, while Zuko really only has his fire and lightning redirection, but the lightning redirection thing is going to be completely useless in this fight. Somewhat. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So, okay, so in terms of power output, Todoroki probably has the advantage. I mean, just by going by what other firebenders can do, like Zuko himself, like, and Azula, and like the whole, you know, Sozin's Comet thing, but they're probably not going to do that because Sozin's Comet is a once in 100 years thing. That so yeah, so already, like, Todoroki has a bit of a firepower advantage and a versatility advantage simply by having ice and being able to freeze over like half a stadium. So don't get me wrong, he's got a few upsides, but then you start thinking about it, and yeah, Todoroki hasn't really killed anyone. then again, Zuko hasn't really either, or at least, you know, intentionally, maybe. I mean, I'm thinking about Admiral Zhao, but Zhao kind of accepted his fate, and it was really weird. But yeah, Zuko hasn't killed anyone either, but the difference between them is that Zuko's been part of a war. He was part of a war his entire life, pretty much, and he spent who knows how many years, like, on a completely just on a mission that everyone just kind of knew that, yeah, his dad just sent him on that mission to get him out. It was banishment. It's straight up banishment. So yeah, and don't return until you captured the Avatar to regain your honor, and blah blah blah. And then yeah, and I know someone pointed out, like in some video, or maybe even a commenter said it, but that Zuko shouldn't have the experience advantage because he was just sitting on a ship the entire time. No, he was not just sitting on that ship. Do you realize he knew he was facing like the Avatar, so he trained for it with Iroh. Iroh's a freaking war hero. The only one who would stick up for Zuko, and the only reason Iroh's going with him in the first place is because Iroh's kind of disgraced himself for, you know, abandoning Ba Sing Se because his son was killed. So, yeah, and Iroh's freaking powerful too, so Zuko could probably be reasonably scaled to Iroh, but that's kind of pushing it. Yeah, it's really pushing it, considering someone tried to scale Zuko to Endeavor, and no, that's not how that works. So, yeah, then then you realize Zuko's fought waterbenders more than once, including Katara, even when Katara had the advantage of a full moon out. Well, okay, yeah, he fought Katara when a full moon was out, but at the same time, he did kind of lose the fight, but simply because the sun rose, he was able to melt through her ice and beat her. So, yeah, it's, so I can see, and since Bakugo has blasted through Todoroki's ice before, I can definitely see, like, Zuko doing the same thing. Because Bakugo's blast, while they can be extremely powerful, that was when Bakugo didn't have his gauntlets. He was just using his regular explosions, pretty much. So, yeah, that was really it. So, yeah, I can definitely see Zuko getting out of an ice thing. And then when it comes to experience, I should get back to that. Zuko clearly has advantage. He's been in a war. He was trained with Iroh the entire time, pretty much almost the entire show, the entire first 2 seasons. Then just being part of a war helps. And Todoroki, while he has been trained pretty much his entire life, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't war. Like, what he went through was terrible, and like, the whole, practically being abused by his dad, to the just point of just almost breaking. Yeah, I get that, but Zuko was part of a war. that's kind of the thing, and so yeah, after that, then we, to hint back at Todoroki's, versatility advantage? Not really. Now, here's the thing. If we're talking close quarters combat, Zuko easily, outclasses him in close quarters combat, but every time Todoroki's been in close quarters combat, he always leaves this nasty surprise on anyone, like, freezing a limb or so, or just their entire body. And yeah, yeah, it's been it's quite the thing. So yeah, but the only time he's frozen someone like inside out, it wasn't against someone, it was against a freaking Nomu, and those things are just inhumane in general, so who knows if he'd even do it on an actual human. And even if Zuko got frozen over, like not to the bone or anything, but just plain frozen over, he could easily just break out of it with his firebending. So in terms of close quarters combat, it could go a lot of ways. I think I'd give the slightest edge to Zuko, simply because he has swords, and could probably beat Todoroki with that, but that's like up in the air because Todoroki has his ice to freeze opponents. So only the slightest of edges to Zuko, and at this point it's like, and then versatility advantage. Todoroki's fire is going to be pointless because Zuko can just redirect it. He controls fire. He's a firebender, and Todoroki can't do the same thing. So Todoroki can't, manipulate fire. He can manipulate the fire he's produced, but he can't manipulate other fire. So, or at least that's never been shown as far as I know. So, yeah, it's quite the conundrum. And so, but even then, like, even with all this stuff, I would still like give Zuko the win 6 times out of 10, really. Then you factor in their speed, and it becomes clearly obvious who has the better reaction speed, at least. Because when it gets down to their regular speed, they're about dead even, I'd say. Shoto can use his ice to, like, zip around the battlefield, but Zuko could do the same thing with his fire. And so, yeah, I'd give their speed, the regular travel speed, about the same, probably. Then their reaction speed. The best I could see for Todoroki is when he fought Ida and was able to keep up with Ida's speed. And And while he didn't react to the reciprocal burst, it was still, he's still like, well, he did kind of react to it, but it was maybe a bit too late, but still, he reacted to something of it. And the highest calculation I've seen for Ida's speed, top speed, is like 330 miles an hour, which is insane. But then you get to Zuko, who has redirected lightning, referring back to, you know, how his lightning redirection is kind of pointless in this battle. The reason I say I gave on that is because of the speed needed for that lightning quick reaction to, you know, do that. And lightning is a third the time the speed of light. Guys, it's really insane. And he's redirected lightning not once, but twice. Or maybe he did it a few more times in the comics, but I haven't read the comics, so then yikes! He redirected Ozai's lightning from pretty close up, all things considered, probably even closer than Aang did in Aang's battle with Ozai, and he redirected another one with he redirected Azula's in his fight with her, his final fight with her, when she like was about to turn, but then, you know, shot it at Katara, and Zuko was able to react just in time to jump out of the way and redirect most of it. So yeah, when you factor in stuff like that, it becomes pretty dang clear who has the better reaction speed. And someone actually tried to say, oh, but Kaminari's in Class 1A. He can use electricity and lightning and stuff like that. Isn't that the same thing? No, it's not, because Class 1A, if they haven't fought one another or like you know recently, you know, or worked together kind of like that, they should not be scaled to one another. That just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. That's not how scaling works. Just because they're in the same class doesn't mean they have the same capabilities. And yeah, oh yeah, here's another point against Todoroki. Quirks are physical abilities. He'll eventually run out of steam. Pun not intended, but yeah, like, he can definitely use it longer than a lot of other quirks, because, you know, because if he uses Ice Side too much, he starts to get frostbite, but if he uses Fire Side too much, he gets severely burned. But if he uses both of the, if he can easily use either side to cool or heat up the other one down or up. To counteract them. It's basically the ultimate like stamina quirk. But still, quirks are still physical abilities, so he can only use it for a limited amount of time. Zuko doesn't have that weakness. He can just produce as much fire as he needs. He could just outlast Todoroki, is what I'm saying. It's a possibility. But yeah, how on earth this is going to go down, I have no idea. But it's going to be quite the battle. Like I said, the more thought you put into it, like, the winner is pretty clear in terms of Zuko, but in terms of how clear that is, like, I'd probably give Zuko the win 8 times out of 10. And while that is still pretty clear, Todoroki definitely has a few advantages going for him, enough to really make me doubt, you know, Zuko's chances. But I'd still give Zuko the win. Like, that's my prediction, at least. So yeah, and yeah, that just kind of seems like like that's the way it goes. So man, this will be like the third time an Avatar: Last Airbender character. This is the third time an Avatar: Last Airbender character has appeared on the show, and if Zuko wins, it'll be the third time they've won. Because Toph won against Gara, and Aang won against Edward Elric, and now Zuko's probably gonna win against Todoroki. That's my prediction, at least. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, that's my prediction. So yeah, I'm just gonna end the video now. So yeah, till next time, guys. See ya.